Hi, it's Liz here from Gather No Moss. I'm riding solo today and I'm here to tell you a personal story about my fight with cancer. Mine was eye cancer, so I know that what I suffered and what I went through is nothing compared to what a lot of people have either been through or are going through. So my heart does go out to everybody that's had to deal with cancer. But this is a story that I haven't really told lots of people. At the time, it was in 2018, and I kept everything very much to myself. But I feel that it would be good for me to tell people about it. But more importantly, it'll be very good for people to actually hear about the story, hear how it could be a silent killer. I know they say cancer's a silent killer, but this really could be a silent killer, and how I discovered it, and just the tale of what I went through, really. Apologies if I do get a bit upset, because I think when you live back a trauma that you've gone through and you've tried to hide it at the time, it can be quite upsetting. But I'm going to try and get through this, just for the sake of anybody that is worried about anything to do with their eyes, or is even going through cancer. You might relate to some of the things that I felt I went through. And I'm already getting a bit of a lump in my throat. But yeah, just to let everybody know what it was like. Another thing that I really want to say in this is how wonderful the staff were that dealt with me. From the optician that actually did a regular eye test just for reading glasses and was looking at the back of my eye, and then recommended that I went to the hospital in Warrington in the UK, which is an NHS hospital. And then they were so diligent looking, and they could see that there was something wrong with my eye. It's my right eye, by the way, if you're sort of looking and trying to work out which one it was, but it's my right eye. And they were amazing, absolutely amazing. I had to, in the end, go to a specialist hospital in Liverpool, the Liverpool University Hospital, and it's an eye hospital, and see a consultant there. But again, the way that I was treated, the way I was looked after was amazing. So massive thank you to NHS, and yeah, I can't praise them enough for what they did. So, often it's called extraocular eye cancer, so it's like a lump that you can see on the outside, either the eyelids or the outside of your eye. Mine was intraocular, which is at the back of my eye, so that would only ever be picked up by opticians or people that are inspecting the very backs of your eye, and that isn't done on a regular basis. So I was very lucky, and I'm forever grateful for that. There's some things that I want to go through, like the actual what you have to go through there. Also, the fears and the big C and the horrible trauma that you go through, being diagnosed with cancer. Also, some of the things that I believe that you should be doing to look after your eyes, and talking to people in general. When I ask them about certain things, I worry that people aren't taking the care that they need to take. So in brief, in 2018, I went for a regular eye test to the opticians, just at one of the opticians on the high street, and they did a very thorough test. Thank you very much. And when they were doing the test, a lady there said to me, I think I can see something in this corner at the back of your right eye. So I was like, right, okay. And she said, I'm going to recommend that you go to Warrington Hospital. And literally within a week, I was at Warrington Hospital. And I had tests there. Now, I'm at this point, Colin and I had only known each other a year. But he offered kindly to come with me, because when you have tests on your eyes, they put drops into the eyes, and it's to make the pupil go bigger so they can see the back of the eye, which means you can't drive. After that, you can't drive. And actually, because I am also a bit squeamish and a bit of a wuss, I have to say, anything to do with medical things, eyes, well, blood in any form. My sister could tell you loads of things about me and blood, but however, anything to do with yuckiness, as was say, it sounds pathetic, but I'm sorry, I can't cope with it. So luckily Colin came with me, and we spent a full day in Warrington Hospital having tests. You can imagine how sore my eye was at the end of it. But they could see something, but they weren't sure what it was. And they could see that there was a little bit of a lump or something at the back of this corner of my eye, but they didn't know, and they didn't have the equipment to be sure about it. So what they decided to do was send me to Liverpool University Hospital, where a consultant could see me, and they had far better equipment. So I went there, and again, another full day of tests, similar sorts of tests. At this point, because I knew it was a risk and they were testing me for cancer, I think you have all of these feelings inside you as well. So you get yourself very worked up. You're thinking the absolute worst. For me, I'd always felt that out of everything in my appearance, my eyes were the bit of me that I actually really loved. And I was like, oh no, you know, what's going to happen? And then also you start reading, because we all read on the internet and everything, and it can go into your brain, it can go down to your liver, there's all sorts of things. So you think the very worst. And I'm sure that happens with anybody that has a suspect any sort of disease, but in particular cancer, because it's just can spread around your body, you start thinking the absolute worst. Anyway, it culminated in the consultant actually saying to me, I still can't see properly, so I'm going to have to do a scan, as you would if you were having a baby, with the gel and on your eye. So by this point, I was just like, just do anything you need to do, but I was whimpering and quite upset at everything at the time. But anyway, he did the scan, and he said to me, look, I believe there's a melanoma there. He said, but we have 3 options. So the 3 options were, option number 1, we could wait and let it grow and see how it was growing and multiplying, and then they could do something about it, which in my view, absolutely no way was that an option. The thought of something like cancer, allowing it to grow in your body, I just couldn't have coped with that. So option number 2 was to do a biopsy. So I would have to go into the operating theatre. They would take a small amount from the lump, even though they thought it was only about 3 millimeters, and then test it. And then if it was cancerous, then I would have to have some treatment on it. Or my third option was, we're going to go in there, we'll give you the treatment anyway, we'll do a biopsy at the same time, so we'll be able to tell if it was cancerous, but if we do the treatment, it will get rid of it or stop it growing. So really, I didn't feel I had a proper option. I knew that I had to go for option number 3. I wanted to know whether it was cancer, but I wanted whatever it was inside me killed and stopped. So I went for option number 3. Now at the time, I still am a maths tutor, but I was a maths teacher at school. I was teaching a year 11 class that were due to take their GCSE exams. So I knew that they had 3 more weeks and then they would go off on study leave. And my class were the top set. I'd been with them for 2 years. So it was trying to weigh up what to do. So what I said to the consultant is, can we do it in 3 weeks' time? I wanted to give my class the best chance at their GCSEs. Equally, I wanted to get my eyes sorted. But I knew that I had to still try and make sure these students got through their GCSEs and did as well as they could. So I waited 3 weeks, and then I went into hospital to have the operation. For people that might be having the similar sort of operation, just to tell you a little bit about it, it's called brachytherapy. I hope I've said that correctly. And it's a little gold plaque, and each person, they make the gold plaque to suit whatever size of lump you have or whatever. And it has little seeds of radioactive whatever it is, radioactive substance, all put onto the plaque. So they cut your eye, the white of your eye, and they make what they call a little hatch. Open it up, put the plaque behind and on top of the lump, and then the radioactive substance kills the things. So they had to obviously do a biopsy, put that in. They then put a temporary stitch back into your eye, and you have to lie in hospital really still for 3 days. And that at that time you're radioactive yourself as well. So you're taking a bit of a chance really, but when you've got that choice to make, sorry, I'm getting a bit upset there, but when you've got that choice to make, you've just got to go for wanting to live your life really. So I went into hospital. They isolated me in a room. They did the operation. They put the plaque in. I had 3 days. Colin could come in and see me, but only for sort of like 10 to 20 minutes, and had to stand away. He wasn't allowed to really come too close. And he was brilliant throughout all of this. I mean, I'd fallen in love with him when I met him anyway, but the way that he looked after me throughout all of this was just amazing. So he doesn't know I'm saying this at the minute. He will when he sees the video. But yeah, I was so grateful to have him there to support me. He was my absolute rock at this time. And then you go, after the 3 days, you go back into surgery. They open the hatch back up. They take the metal out, and they sew your eye back to get, the hatch back up. Unfortunately, it wasn't closed in my case, so I did have to return back to hospital a couple of months later and get it re-sewed. So I did have a very sore eye. And then they do the tests to see whether it was cancerous or not. So I had 3 weeks off school. Luckily, it was at the time where things are starting to wind down a little bit. And then went back into school, and quite soon afterwards they had all the results of the tests, and I went back to see the consultant. He confirmed it had been cancer, had been a melanoma, but they felt that they had got rid of everything that they needed to get rid of, and I just needed to be monitored every 6 months. The other thing he asked for me to do is eye cancer in particular. A lot of cancers in your eye start in the eye, and then it can spread to the other organs in your body. Particularly for eyes, it's into your liver. So they wanted to do a full MRI. So obviously, yes, I agreed to that. And luckily, after that, everything came back that there was no more cancer anywhere else in any of the organs in my body. So amazing news for me. Well, I think one thing I would say at this point, and I think anybody that's gone through any sort of cancer, is I hadn't really talked to many people about this. I didn't feel strong enough, and I wanted to know the answers myself before I talked to people. But I don't think I've really talked to many people about those feelings inside, and the thought that all of a sudden, lots of people go through this, you're going to lose your life. You feel like, well, I could actually lose my life, not just my eye, but I could lose my life here. And trying to cope with that, I think, is an individual journey for everybody. And at the time, I didn't really want people knowing what was happening. A lot of people didn't even notice. I was always wearing my reading glasses, or I was wearing sunglasses to try and cover it up. I was very, very conscious because my eye was very sort of small, sore looking. I mean, I did wear a patch for a while, but I just didn't feel that my eye would get back to how it had been before. And I think you do get depressed at that time. You get low, and certainly your self-esteem and everything does drop. So there's not much you can do. I did have a lady come and try and talk to me, a counsellor, but I didn't want to talk to anybody. And I really haven't talked to lots of people about it. I think it's just your own journey that you have to go through, and you have to get your strength in your way. One of the reasons I did want to talk about this is this will probably explain why I'm the sort of person I am. Rolling stone gathers no moss. That's where the name gathers no moss. I like change. I like doing things. That every opportunity I get offered, I will try and do things. Really love to travel, and that's why we're doing a lot of traveling now, because I just think it gives you a real sense once you've had something like this, and people, as I keep saying, have had far worse than I've had. But it gives you a real sense of make the very most of the time that you've got. And that, for me, is very strong in me. You know, if I want to have a go at something, if I want to go somewhere, I will try and move everything to get to do that. And I'm lucky that things work out for me and that I get to do that. So I knew I wanted to come back and live abroad. I knew I wanted to stop working in a school after I did 14 years in a school, and I knew that I enjoy teaching, but not in the way that the schools are forcing you to teach now. So I do tutoring now. I'm a maths tutor online, and I absolutely love it and get great results, but it suits me better. Another thing after you've had an operation on your eye to expect is obviously everything in there gets a little bit dislodged. So I had floaters in my eye. I would turn my head and I could see all different shapes and black floaters coming across. It really does sort of make you feel unsteady at times. I couldn't do things in school like my bus duties, my break duties, because the children are all running around, and it is a bit scary at the time. So I took things easy. I drove only literally to my work and back again. I wasn't really keen on driving. I just didn't feel that I had the full vision that I needed. I think finally, what I would like to say is that I've got friends. I've got lots of young friends. If I go and have my hair done, I speak to my hairdresser, or and lots of lovely people in my life. And a lot of them say that they love going on sunbeds. And I always say, please don't go on sunbeds. And if you go on sunbeds and you feel that you have to, wear the goggles. It absolutely amazes me that some people go on sunbeds and don't wear goggles. That is just the worst thing you can be doing for your eyes in particular, but the sunbeds for your skin as well. So that would be one thing. I'm a fanatic about good sunglasses. Get yourself some decent sunglasses with polarized lenses and make sure you wear them at any type of brightness. Protect your eyes. I use eye drops. I have a prescription for eye drops now, but again, I've got these little tubes, and I put drops in my eyes 2 or 3 times a day. Keep your eyes lubricated. Don't let them dry up. Look after your eyes. Don't abuse your eyes, because it's very scary if you think you're going to lose your sight, and it's something that if you've got your sight now, don't abuse that and don't take it for granted. If you've got any issues with your eyes, if you feel, you won't feel the lumps there. Some people have very obvious lumps in the front of their eyes, but if the ones in the back of your eye, you won't feel. But if you feel that you need to get your eyes tested, go and get them. Eye cancer is more prevalent in people who are 55 to about 70. So be careful, get your eyes checked. We all need really reading glasses around that age anyway. Mine was picked up at 54. So it's just like, take care. And if anybody wants to chat to me, ask me any questions, ask me about my experiences. I'm really happy to chat along with people. I would appreciate if people want to listen to some of these things that and get to know me a little bit more, and Colin a little bit more. We're happy to do this about different things, but subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. Like the video if it's been useful or if you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for listening.